Hey guys, be sure to press like and subscribe. Today we're going to talk about whether it's worth living in the Philippines and can Westerners adjust pretty easy here and are there better choices? And for me, it's worked out quite well. I like it here. The Philippines some parts can be very dirty. Sanitation can be an issue. Um, some places are really nice and clean and decent. It's kind of like you have to kind of choose your area and choose where you want to be, and kind of eke out your style of living, whether it be Western or Filipino style living or whatever, or a mix of both. Um, for some people, they might not be able to get past the loud karaoke machines, the dogs barking, and the roosters constant crowing. It's an issue for many. I've learned to live with it in different ways through white noise machines and eating the roosters. But there's more to it than just that. Okay, a lot of people can't adjust. A lot of Westerners come over here. They just frankly cannot adjust. They won't like it. Um, they can't adjust to the people. They can't adjust to the culture. They want the culture to adjust to them, and that's not the way it works over here. And the best way I found was to have a mix of Western and Filipino culture in my life. Um, would I say I've become Filipino, like some of the expat vloggers say, becoming Filipino? Um, no. Have I given up all my Western standards? No. Have I taken on some Filipino standards? Probably. Yes, definitely. Which ones? Um, just living more relaxed and different. Filipinos are very relaxed, easygoing. I've learned to become like that, and I was already kind of relaxed and easygoing in the States, so it was kind of an easy transition for me. Um, but for some, it's not. I tell people leave behind their Western garbage, their Western politics and stuff like that, and sometimes that's something I struggle with a little bit. Um, we're not perfect, we're just human, and we try to do the best we can. Um, for some people, the Philippines, like I said, might not be a cup of tea. Maybe Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Laos, Japan, even China, maybe, or maybe one of the Pacific Island groups, or maybe Palau. There's so many places you can go to over here and live pretty well. And there's a lot more places. There's Nepal. Nepal is another choice. Some people go up there. It's hard. It's harder to get in there, I think, though, and to live there, from what I understand. Um, some people go to China. In these current days, would I go to China? Probably not. You know, um, but the great thing about the Philippines is we have 7,200 islands to choose from. I think about half of those are probably inhabited, or maybe a little bit more. And some of those places might be worth checking out for you. You might finally find your island dream here, But if you don't choose your right place, it can be your living hell, because of the fact that you have hardships on some of these islands because you can't find certain goods, and those goods are very difficult to find, and also very difficult to ship to some of these tinier villages, and there might not be any refrigeration. A lot of Filipinos live without refrigeration. Um, just to let you guys in the West know that a lot of Filipinos do not have refrigerators here. Even some middle class people here do not have refrigerators here. Um, a good amount do, but a lot don't. Okay, our neighbors lived without a refrigerator. I think the people actually the other three units don't have refrigerators, or if they do have them, they're shut off and they're not using them. And they live like that, and they're okay like that. It's not something I can live with. It's very difficult, kind of, to live without a refrigerator. So I have two refrigerators, because we have the Sari Sari store. We sell soda, things like that. So, and I like to have a lot of frozen goods on hand. So if something happens or whatever, it's just nice to have. But you know, it's all about choices, guys, when you come here. A lot of guys come over here and they see Manila and it's like, I can't live like this. I'm getting out of here, you know, like, and they come over here for like a couple weeks or something just to check it out. And some guys come over here and they like it on their vacation, but when they come over here to live, they hate it, because when you're on vacation, you have a different vibe in your on your mind. You're about resting and relaxing and just enjoying the day. But if you come here to live, it's totally different. It's a totally different ball game, you know. And people have to try to understand that, you know, that if you're here living, it's not always going to be a vacation, and it's not. I enjoy my life over here, but a lot of people get bored to death. They really, really get bored to death. We have some people over here that go out of their mind with boredom because they don't take up their time with hobbies or doing something or trying to get out and enjoy life. And I know during the COVID right now, we have a lot of issues, you know, because people are suffering from boredom and depression. But, you know, even when we didn't have the COVID, we had a lot of people that were suffering from boredom and depression because, guys, when you're retired, you're not busy 24 hours of the day, and you have to make yourself busy. And for me, I love having free time because I love doing lots of things, lots of hobbies. I love to learn, you know, and it's one of the things I like to do the most is I love going online to learn things. And for a lot of people, they've given up that because they figure that they're old, they don't need to learn anything anymore. And if there's one thing, you know, that I've learned is keeping, you definitely have to keep yourself busy over here because you'll go out of your gourd. You know, so I see people over here and I see them at the mall and you can tell they're bored out of their gourd, you know, and I see some of these people walking around here and you age faster during that. And what I do is I try to learn to exercise, go to the mall, go out and do things with my family, do things with the kids, do things with my girlfriend. Just go out and enjoy the day. Because, guys, if you don't live like that over here in Asia, don't come. Because you're going to hate it here, you know. And, guys, don't think that when you come over here, everything's going to look like a postcard, because it's not. People come over here and they're kind of shocked at the poverty and the sanitation issues and the trash and the dogs barking and the karaoke and all that stuff when they go into a regular neighborhood where people live, where you'll probably be living, by the way. You know, and even in some of the gated communities, they're like that too. Not all of them, but some of them. You know, and you have to kind of pick out a spot that's going to fit your personality and fit your lifestyle and fit your patience. How much patience do you have with a neighbor that has a perpetual rooster crowing or dog barking or karaoke machine going? You know, so make sure that you really look around the neighborhood before you move in there, because you can't take it out on the neighbors, because guess what? They don't care. You know what I mean? Because they're used to living like that. You have to adjust to the way they are. You know, and white noise machines definitely come in handy for that. But guys, just, you know, think about things before you come over here. Come over here, maybe live for a year, maybe in a Airbnb or whatever, and just see how you like it, and walk around the neighborhoods, see how you like it. See if you can adjust to the people here. Some people can't adjust to the people here, and there are different sections. There's wealthier sections and there's poor sections. But even in the wealthy sections, sometimes people have dogs and karaoke and roosters and all that. So don't think because you're moving into a wealthier section you're going to get away from that, because you might not. And that's where sometimes a high-rise or a condo comes into play, and you might want to think about moving in there. It doesn't mean you're going to get away from noise totally, but it certainly dampens down the noise a lot when you move into a place like that, okay? And some of those places have pools, but so don't some of the gated communities. So guys, remember, when you come over here, leave the Western stuff home, you know? Western stuff is, you know, leave most of it home. You can bring some of it here, and you're gonna have to have like kind of a mix of the two, and you're gonna have to try to figure out what that mix is gonna be, as I have, you know. And a lot of people say, you know, I've become very Filipino because of the way I live. Um, Probably about 50% of my life has changed a lot. Um, in a lot of ways, I was kind of used to living in some of these ways because I lived out in a cabin way out in the woods one time, and I lived out there for about a year up in Berlin, New Hampshire, and I learned to live different ways and with different people, and from being in the service and stuff like that too. And I lived in the city for about 20 years. So I know what it's like to have people making noise all the time, and so I was kind of accustomed to that and learned to live with it easier than most Western people would. And like I said, figure it out, guys. Come over here, see if you like it. Maybe make a dry run first and see if you can live over here for 3 months or something like that. And if you can't, go home. Remember, guys, about anywhere from a third to half. Some say I've read a third, but some people say it's a half or more. End up going home. I'm not sure what the true number is. I've just went off an article that I read that said about the third. Okay, a third end up going home. I've seen quite a people go home from here. I've also seen quite a lot of people die over here too, though. And I did notice this that it seems like the average person over here dies at age 72. I don't know what the true number is. I'm just going from what I've seen over here. It seems like everybody dies at 72. When you hit 72, poof, you're dead. And that's, I don't know why. I just see a lot of people over here, they die right around 72, 73, 71, right in that age group. I don't see too many people living past 80 over here. And you think that they would, but they don't. And I think it's because of the health care is just not really decent enough. But anyway, guys, think about everything before you come here. And make sure that you're going to be compatible to living with the Filipino culture, because they're not going to become compatible to living with your culture, and just make sure you understand that, guys. And as I've said before, guys, leave all your anger and all your mental health issues and all that stuff behind, all that political stuff, all that stuff. Leave it all behind. I see a lot of guys on here, they're making political statements and they're angry about politics, and if you comment about something a certain way, they get all touchy about it. Guys, if you bring that over here, you're going to have a very difficult time with the expats over here. I mean, there are expats over here like that, but a lot of expats don't even want to hear the political garbage over here. They really don't. I don't. You know what I mean? I try to keep it to myself. Once in a while, I'll comment on my channel about something because it's the Philippine Info channel, and I try not to get too political. Some people say I am. I'm trying not to be. I just want to make a statement about what China was doing. Like I made a statement about that, and a couple other times I've said some stuff on it, and people, jump on me about it, and I apologize for that, guys. But I mean, we are who we are, and everybody wants to try to change everybody in the United States, and I come over here to be myself. And when you come over to the Philippines, you should try to come over here to be yourself too. There's one thing I can tell people is be yourself. But over here, you need to keep it to yourself sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's just for the best, guys. But anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show.